women, I believe, especially in Western culture, especially today, women have been empowered, and I think they've
Mhm.
intentionally uh, shifted the balance of power in the melanated household.
For a woman to be able to stipulate that her husband cannot marry another woman, that puts us in a position of power, and we're not going to give that up.
From your understanding, your perspective, you're a woman, right? You are a woman. I'm
Yes,
married to you. I'm pretty sure.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, as a woman, do you think you could identify why women have such an emotional response to that concept, the idea of it?
Um, so first of all, women are emotional creatures, so you can only expect us to react emotionally.
Well, let's sidebar. Women are emotional creatures. Men are emotional creatures. We have emotions too.
No, you have emotions, but you're not emotional creatures like us. Come on now.
No, we're not
Don't
like
even play
women.
this.
Men and women are different. But I just feel like that emotional creature thing might be kind of a cop out, just to to
It's
to act
not.
to act
I'm just
out
saying.
rather than to
Let
act
me just put
irrational
that
opposed
out
to be
there.
rational.
Second of all, I've told you this before. When someone is in a position of power, they are not going to give it up willingly, like ever.
Mm.
Whether you're
You
white,
we did
black,
talk about that.
man,
Yeah.
woman. And so, for a woman to be able to stipulate that her husband cannot marry another woman, that puts us in a position of power, and we're not going to give that up. Like, and we're going to come up with I mean, I feel like this is subconscious.
Now I'm gonna tell you right now. I understand you. We having a conversation, we're communicating, and you're telling me you being honest with me, right? The women are gonna be hissing at this,
Okay,
like what
well.
you cause see right now, I believe everybody Team Brittany. You know what I'm saying? Most people we talk to is Team Brittany, but if they hear this, they might not be Team Brittany no more because you know what I'm saying. Everybody got on me and said I was dominating the conversation, I was bashing you
Okay.
and all this stuff. I'm just saying. So you saying this at your own volition, right?
Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't.
Anywhere in the world, any group of people, especially a group of people that traditionally are not in power,
Hmm.
when they are given power, when they take power, when they obtain power, they are not going to give it up.
Right.
Like in every situation, religion,
Case in point.
men, women,
Have
race,
are you familiar with the phrase "give control"?
give control.
Yeah, you familiar
No.
with that phrase? Yeah, and you don't never hear that. Oh, what you hear? Take control. So to your point, right? Nobody gives control. You have to take
Mhm.
it.
Yes.
So what you're saying, anybody in a position of power doesn't give willingly give up power.
Right.
It has to be taken, right? And this kind of speaks to the situation of our people in the Western world. We sitting out there, Black Lives Matter, marching for equality and everything, expecting these people because we're essentially what we're asking them is to relinquish power and
Yeah.
authority and be more fair and equitable. But nobody with power willingly gives it up.
Right.
So if we want more power, control, and everything, we have to take it
Right.
in that situation. But going back to this situation, you're saying okay, so women, I believe, especially in Western culture, especially today, women have been empowered, and I think they've
Mhm.
intentionally uh, shifted the balance of power in the melanated household. So I think which is kind of like a double stack of imbalance or a problematic situation.
Yeah.
And so now here it is, the brother go read a book, a Bible, and he come home and say, "Oh, I can have another wife," which is irresponsible. But you're saying a woman being empowered is not gonna say it's not gonna just relinquish their power. Say, "Okay, I'll take a back seat and just do whatever you want to do."
Right.
Even if it's lawful, according to scripture. Um, and I know many people think it's not, but I'm just saying, even if it is, which I think it is, but if it is, she's still not gonna just willingly give up that power she has to dictate how many women you can have.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's one aspect of it,
That's one
right?
aspect of it.
Okay,
And I mean, I would say, especially in America, most women don't believe it's lawful. And so that's their right. They feel like that's genuinely their right
mm,
for their husband to not take another wife. And so you're gonna. I mean, most. I think most Americans disagree with polygamy. I think.
Yeah, because of law.
Yeah, okay.
It's
First of
culture,
all,
like they
it's
just been taught that.
illegal.
Yeah,
And
except in
then
Utah, right?
cultural, and then so then that's another expectation. So another aspect. Even if someone says, "Okay, I think that, according to the law, polygamy is legal. My husband can say more than one wife." But culturally, we are not groomed to even deal with that, entertain that. Our mindset is not there. I know for me, my understanding of a relationship between a husband and wife is that like we're partners, or it's me and you.
Right.
There's never a
And
thought of a framework of how there could be another. It,
that's interesting you say it
so
because
it's so hard to even just wrap your mind around that. It's like you saying water can be steam, and I'm just, but water should be water. It should be liquid.
good. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
we
Just
shouldn't
yeah.
add no heat. Heat for what?
Right.
Like,
Water works. What you messing with?
yeah.
Yeah. And but it brings back to
Like,
the
it can
conversation we
be
had.
steam, but it shouldn't be steam.
Okay.
You
So
know what I'm saying?
it brings back to the conversation we had in the first show, right? And we talk about the expectation of a partnership opposed to a team, right? And so what was that? Okay.
Mm.
So a partnership opposed to a team, which it can be a partnership because not every partnership is 50-50. But like I said, I think when you say partner or partnership, it implies 50-50. Opposed to when you say a team, it
Mm-hmm.
applies everybody has a role to play to
Right.
accomplish a goal. So
Right.
if you look at it more like a team, then having multiple players and multiple roles is not such a foreign concept.
Right.
Um, we talked about something else that I wanted to bring up.
And
Man,
there's something else I want to
okay,
say,
go ahead, go
but
ahead.
just our expectation, and I think this has changed over time. I think back in the day, or even let's just say 200 years ago, the relationship between a husband and a wife was different.
Yes,
There was more formality in the relationship. Um,
it was less based on feelings, but more so based on understanding of a goal and obligation and commitment. Right, you don't
yes,
have to like somebody to commit to them. Like you don't like the job, you don't like people at your work or thing, but you can still commit to a cause with people you don't otherwise jail with.
right.
So a marriage was just that. It was like hey, we're gonna be together. We're gonna live this life together. Because you can grow fun with somebody. Like you spend enough time with anybody, you develop fondness to them.
Right.
So that can come
And not
later.
to say that there wasn't love and romance in relationships back in the day, but I think that there was more of a formality in the relationship. And as far as how husband and wife dealt with each other. And I don't, also the children aspect, because
Yeah.
I think now, okay, you have two families, you're not going to be spending time with your
Right.
children near as much as if you only have one family. And we have this expectation in our generation, this day and age, of family, of fathers and mothers spending a lot of time with their children. Mothers now spend more time with their children than mothers have ever spent before.
Oh wow, really?
Yes,
I didn't
that's
know that.
statistics. Mothers spend more time with their children in our generation than mothers ever have
Well,
before.
is that because of single parent households or
I don't know.
yeah, I'm just that's
I don't
interesting.
know about the statistics with fathers, but back in the day, it wasn't expected for fathers to spend time with their children like that. It's
Right.
expected now. So how are you gonna meet this expectation when you have more than one family?
And dude, let me ask you, and from your, because I know you've done a lot of research, because I want you to talk about that, the situation you read about, in I think somewhere in Africa, where the men have to go out in the field for like 6 months or something, or so many years.
Yeah,
But
this woman on
okay, hold
YouTube
up,
and
before
stuff.
you do that, but I want to say, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so do you think it's unnatural for a man to spend all that time next to his wife and with his children and family? Does that go against the nature or the natural order of things? Is it more natural for a
Mm,
man to be out? Because you think like in
that's a good
before
question. That's deep.
before the modern construct that we live in now, men had to go out and provide. And sometimes that meant you had to be gone for long periods of time. You weren't expected to be under your wife all the time, around your children all the time. You were expected to be out providing, killing something, protecting, providing. You know, so is it contrary to our nature to spend so much time under our spouses, so much time in the houses, around our children?
Yeah, I think that's a big question. And I mean, you sound like you talking about like hunter gatherer kind of
Well,
setting.
I'm just dealing with our innate, nature.
But then I think about more wealthy families, husbands were not expected to spend much time with
Yeah,
their
because they
children.
were too busy
But if
conquering the
you're like a
world.
poorer family and you're like self-sustainable and you're on your homestead, then you're with your family. You and your children, your sons are out
Yeah,
working the fields together. So I think it depends on your lot in life.
that dynamic,
Right.
situation. Yeah, here it comes. Well,
And I think
back into the mic.
so I think it depends on the family, but for sure, a lot of situations depends on the profession, the occupation
Mm,
of the husband. Yeah, if you're a hunter, you're out in the fields. You're not with your family a lot. If you're a soldier in the army, whatever. We read Old Yeller,
yeah.
and the dad
Had to still
took
take.
his herd cattle to Kansas from Texas to sell them. So he was gone for a long time, months.
That's something to consider, right?
I do think that generally, yeah, men were not with their families as much because they had to work. But I think it depends on the situation. You have like a shoemaker, he works down in his shop downstairs, but then his family lives upstairs. So like they're with each other a lot.
Right.
But the other aspect is like the village aspect.
Yeah.
And so even when the father was not there, the women and children, they have their village
Right.
as their community, as as the foundation for their like moral support and emotional and social support, whereas society community is so has broken down so much that
It's so
sadly,
devalued.
no, just like people don't have community like people used to have community. And so I think the role of the father is that much more important
Mm.
to the mother and children because we don't have moms and grandmas and aunties and cousins around to fulfill the emotional, the social needs, because we all have emotional and social needs and that are met by others. And the less others you have in your life, the more important the relationships that you do have are in order to fulfill those emotional and social needs. So if you don't have a community of people that you're rooted in, then the husband or the father is that much more important in order to fulfill those emotional and social needs. You see what I'm
But
saying?
how does a man fulfill emotional and social
Listen,
needs?
we work with what we got. I'm just saying.
I'm really listening and I'm thinking about like, well, can a man really do that though? And I just wanna paint a picture right now. This little person, I'm gonna say, walked in here with a head full of hair, 32 teeth, climbed up my wife's lap, and is now breastfeeding. He is too old for this. This is ridiculous.
You always say that. But in situations where you don't want him to talk and be loud,
Yeah, I kicked him out the room. We went through
okay,
this last time. But anyway,
we appreciate it.
um, man, it was a couple other things that we talked about before that I wanted to speak on, but I can't think of those things. But can you talk about what you learned, I guess, or what you took from that situation with the people in Africa with the families? Because you kind of mentioned it briefly just now about how when the man would go and the women would deal with the other women for months on at a time with the
So
children.
it was the Maasai tribe in Kenya, I think, but a Western woman had married a man in the Maasai tribe, and the man would go out and hunt. And they sustain themselves, like a lot of their diet is meat, like
Hmm.
they're big on hunting, and so the men are not there
Yeah.
a lot of the time, like half the time,
I
and
mean, like
it's
half the year. You said half the time.
I
What does that
don't
mean?
know. I don't know the exact like 6 months
Yeah.
out of the year, or if it's like 3 months on, 3 months off. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But a lot of time they're just not there, and so it's left up to the women to hold down the fort, and they do it together. And so for sh- sh- the Western woman, her husband doesn't have a second wife, but her mother-in-law, her husband had more than one wife. And they interviewed her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law was saying like, "This is my family." You know, my sister wives. She didn't say sister wives,
Thank you.
but the her husband's other wives, like that was her community.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They
Yeah.
live life together. This is who I live my life with,
Right. Right.
and so they're valuable to me. Um, these other families. And so I mean they're all in the village, but like they live near each other. So it's that community aspect that was valuable to her.
Yeah, you bring it up a lot too about community, and it just it's very significant. Just what I've learned, what I've witnessed, what I've grown to understand the importance of community. And you talked about that last time, so absolutely. There, I mean, I really wish I could remember the other points we talked about because we've had these conversations about multiple wives and things of that nature. Um, and there's another side of this that's weird to me. I've heard these stories about these guys that are, I guess, trapping these women. They're laying down with these women, fornicating with them, and then tell them in the morning, hey, by the way, according to the Bible, you're my wife.
No.
That's crazy. And then you got the other aspect where, a man and a woman got married under the pretense that they was a marriage is for between these two people only. No, the idea of a second wife and all that wasn't part on the table at all. And
Okay.
then they read the Bible, come to some understanding. They come home one day and say, hey, well, look, according to the Bible, I can have more than one wife.
Yeah,
So
and that's the other thing as far as accepting the idea of a second wife. If you go into a marriage, with the understanding that me and you only forever, then that's not fair to expect a woman to change her whole mentality and accept something that was not.
Well, okay. So I heard a very interesting rebuttal to that, right? Which I think I would have to kind of agree with. So you say, okay, culturally, the lifestyle we know, the things that we've done, the things we've been taught is one way, and then you go and read the Bible, and all of a sudden everything changes, and you expect me to just go along with it. So I would say that it's unfair to expect a woman to change overnight or to accept it overnight. But here's the counter argument to that. We changed so much, so many things we threw out the window when we started reading the Bible and understanding it and getting revelation, right? Like most people grew up celebrating the American holidays, Easter, Christmas, Halloween, Mother's Day, Father's Day, I don't know, Memorial Day, all these days, right? So then we get to reading the Bible and you find out, okay, according to the Bible, we're not supposed to be cutting down trees and decorating with silver gold. Jeremiah 10, 1 through 5. Um, Easter has nothing to do with Christ. They were doing Easter way back before Christ died. And, it goes back to the goddess of star. It goes back to ancient Babylonian worship. So this stuff, and so we threw all those things out, right? You can't find Sunday worship in the Bible. Okay, the Bible says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy." So then we change. So we made all these changes, right? We don't celebrate birthdays, birthday cakes, and it goes back to moon worship and all those things. So we don't do birthday cakes and these elaborate celebrations for your birthdays. Not to say we don't acknowledge it, but we don't get into the elaborate celebrations. So we made a lot of changes. Some of these changes have even broken up families. So if we can make those changes and accept all those differences, why is the idea of a man having another wife such a drastic difference?